Perfect. So today we have boot camp. We don't need any equipment. We just need enough space to be like on our hands and our toes. We're gonna do some push-ups today. So we just need a little bit of space. And then we will be laying on the ground at the end. So if you have like a mat or something you want to lay down, great. But I'm going to go ahead real quick with demos and then we'll get right into the circuit. So we're going to do 3 rounds today. We're going to do 50 seconds of work, 10 seconds of rest or transition time. And like I said, real quick with demos. I'm going to fly through these here. So we're going to start off, we're going to do some skips here. So we'll have opposite arm, opposite leg. We're going to double tap at the bottom. And our arms are coming up just like this. So you can do them in place, or if you have enough space, you can do them forward and backwards. You can do them side to side, whatever feels good. And then we're going to get on the ground. We're going to do some push-ups. So you can either be on your hands and knees or your hands and toes. And turn my shoe. You're going to do a push-up. We're going to come down. We're going to halfway. We're going to pause for 1 second, come down and back up. So I'm definitely going to be on my hands and knees today, but we're pausing halfway and down all the way. So that's our second movement. And then we're going to do reverse lunges. We are going to alternate. So we'll do every other leg. And then we're going to pause at the bottom. So we're going to step back, knee comes forward, hips go back. We're going to pause for 3 seconds, pushing through our foot, coming back up, and then back to the other side. Again, pausing for 3 seconds and coming back up. If the 3-second pause doesn't feel good, you can just do them regularly. Again, whatever feels good today. Next up, we're going to do some bent over IYTs to work on our shoulder strength. So we're going to have our feet hip width apart, pushing our hips back, hands starting down, coming up like an I, up like a Y, and then out like a T. So it's going to look like this. So we have I, and then Y, and then T. So that is that. And then next thing we're going to do is narrow squats. So for this one, our feet are going to be closer than hip width. So a regular squat, we're here, narrow squat a little bit closer. So our feet aren't fully touching, but they're very close, coming down into our regular squat, standing back up. So this one, we're going to feel more in our quads. And then last but not least, we're going to end with some glute bridge marches. So we're going to work on our glute and our core here. So pushing our hips up. We're going to keep our core engaged. We're going to exhale, push one knee up and then back down, and then driving the other knee. So we're alternating our feet here, but we're driving our heels through the ground and driving our knee up. So we're going to feel that again in our glutes and in our core. So that is the full circuit. So we're going to do that 3 rounds through. We're going to go ahead real quick with our warm up. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to do one quick movement. We're going to do the world's greatest stretch. So we're going to go ahead, come to the top of your space. We're going to interlace our fingers and pull our knee towards our chest. And we're going to exhale, step back into a reverse lunge. Our hands are going to move on the inside of our front foot. So hands on the ground, pinkies right aligned with our big toe. Back leg stays straight. And we're going to exhale, opening up towards the ceiling. Looking at our hand, our thumb is facing behind us. So as we look up, we're looking at our palm. It's going to help us open up our back a little bit more. And we're going to exhale, plant outside of our front foot. Bring our back foot a little bit closer and push our hips up into our hamstring stretch. And when you're ready, we're going to exhale, bring our feet together, push the ground away, and stand on up. Perfect. All right, we're going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. So we're going to interlace our fingers again, pulling our other knee towards our chest. And we're going to exhale, step back, reverse lunge. Hands coming down on the inside of our front foot. Back leg again, staying nice and straight. Opening up our hips here. We're going to do a nice big inhale. And exhale, opening up towards the ceiling. Looking past our hand, thumb is facing behind us. And we're going to exhale, plant outside of our front foot. Bring our back foot a little bit closer and push our hips up into our hamstring stretch. And we're going to go ahead and exhale, bring our feet together, push the ground away and stand on up. Perfect. All right, go ahead and stretch out whatever else you need to. And we're going to start off with skips here. And we're going to do 45 seconds of work, 15 seconds of rest / transition time. I'm going to go ahead and get the timer going here. And wrong button. 3, 2, 1, and go. So starting off, we're skipping. So opposite arm, opposite leg, knee comes up. We're double tapping at the bottom. So if jumping is not your thing today, no problem. You can do the same thing, just marching. Want to make sure our core is engaged. Our upper body stays nice and open, so our chest is open. We're just double tapping, moving our feet, or marching. So this is going to help us strengthen our hip flexors, work on our core strength, get our heart rate up a little bit. And this is a great way to work on our running mechanics as well, whether we are skipping or marching. We don't have to get super high off the ground either. 3, 2, 1. All right. Next up, we have push-ups with our paws halfway through. So we're getting ready on the ground. Like I said, either your knees or your toes. 3, 2, 1. So our push-up checklist, we're screwing our hands into the ground so our upper back is nice and flat. If we're on our knees or our toes, tucking the pelvis in, bring ourselves down halfway, pausing, and then you can either go all the way down or just go down as low as you can. Really key here that our hands start right underneath the shoulders. At the bottom of our push-up, our elbows are close to our body, about 45 degrees here, and our hands are at the bottom of our rib cage, and then pushing up. That's going to give us our chest action there, so we can work on strengthening our chest and shoulders. 3, 2, 1. All right. Next up, we're standing back up. We are doing reverse lunges. So we're going to alternate. We're pausing at the bottom. 3, 2, 1. So we're starting at the top of our space here. We are stepping back. So as we step back, our knee comes forward. So the knee is right over the second toe here. Chest is right over the arch of our front foot. We're pausing anywhere from 1 to 3 seconds, really whatever feels good. But if you really want to challenge yourself today, pause for 3 seconds. And then push through the heel, big toe, little toe of our front foot. So the focus here is our front foot. So we're pushing through. We want to use our glute of the front leg to push back up. So when my right foot is forward, 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. All right. Next up, bent over IYTs. So we're coming up I, Y, and T. 3, 2, 1. So for this one, again, core is engaged. So we're tucking our butt towards our belly button. So our back is flat. Slight bend in our knees. Hips closing the door behind us. And squeeze our shoulders up like an I. Thumbs are up to the ceiling for our I and our Y. But our T, our palms face our legs. Drive our elbows up and back down. So this one's really going to help. The I's, we're going to feel more in the fronts of our shoulders. The Y's, the front and the side. And the T's, we're going to feel all through the back of our shoulders here. So this is really great movement to help with posture and shoulder strength. 3, 2, 1. Perfect. All right, 2 more movements. So we got 2 more rounds to go. So we have narrow squats next. Starting with our feet a little bit closer than hip width here. 3, 2, 1. I feel like I just froze. I don't know what's happening. Hopefully my internet is still working. I'm at the office, so I would hope that my internet would not go out. But we're doing narrow squats. So feet are closer than hip width, but everything else stays the same. So our knees come forward, our hips come back, chest stays open, driving through our heel, big toe, little toe. So it's the same movement. I'm going to face this way for a few of them. So our knees are still coming right over our second toes. right? So if I were to do a regular squat, my knees are coming out. Same thing here. Knees fall out, pushing through. 3, 2, 1. Perfect. All right. Last movement of our first round, we have glute bridge marches. So we're on our backs on the ground. 3, 2, 1. So feet are hip width apart, butt goes towards our belly button, so our core is engaged. We exhale, push our hips up towards the ceiling. This is our starting position. So we want to feel that in our glutes. So play around with your foot positioning. And then when you're ready, exhale, driving one leg up at a time. So the key here is to focus on keeping our headlights on our hips. We want our headlights to blind the ceiling the whole time. We want to try to avoid having our hips go down and back and forth. 3, 2, 1. But that comes from the core strength. So, great. All right. 1 down, 2 to go. We're starting back up at the top with our skips. 3, 2, 1. So again, if jumping is not happening, do not worry. Go ahead and just do a march. You can always spice it up a little bit. If you have the space, you can do a forward march, or you can do a forward skip as well. So if you have the space, I know when we're at home, if I was at home, I would have, as many of y'all, if you're watching the recording, you might know I have a tiny space. So if I was at home, I would be doing the skip in place. Because I am in the group exercise room in the office, I can move about. So doing whatever feels good for you today, whatever you have space for, but really focusing nice and tall. 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Great job. Next up, push up. We are pausing halfway through. So we're getting ready, screwing our hands into the ground. 3, 2, 1. So hands underneath our shoulders, screwing our hands into the ground. Elbows come back and pushing all the way up. So you can do this a few ways, right? So you can come all the way down, get back up however you need to. So if you want to do more of an eccentric push-up and pause halfway down, so that would maybe look more like this. So maybe we're coming nice and slow. We pause and get up however we need to. Or it looks more like maybe we're stronger and we can do the full push-up where we just pause and then come back up. Or you can do it like I am, where I'm on my knees doing the same thing. 3, 2, 1. All right, next up, reverse lunge with a 3-second pause at the bottom. 3, 2, 1. So starting in the top of our space, stepping back. We can pause anywhere from 1 to 3 seconds, pushing through our whole foot, coming back up. So coming down. Chest stays forward. Where our focus again, our front leg. So really want to push off our front leg. Want to keep our step back, so our stance is a little bit more close together. So if you notice, I'm not stepping all the way back. Our back leg should bend, and by stepping a little bit closer, we can focus on keeping our weight forward. 3, 2, 1. Perfect. All right. Next up, bent over IYTs. So starting with our feet hip width apart. 3, 2, 1. So we're tucking our butt towards our belly button, slight bend in our knees, pushing our hips back, coming up like an I, thumbs are up. So thumbs are up for our I and our Y, and for our T, our palms are facing our legs. So if we act like we have a plane of glass along our back, we want to break the glass with our elbows. So that's our goal here with the T's. Otherwise, it's with our thumbs up. Other key component here Our shoulders are pulled down and back. So as we reach up, our shoulders stay away from our ears, not elbows. 3, 2, 1. On that one, we really want to avoid shrugging our shoulders up. All right. Narrow squats are next. So starting with our feet a little bit narrower than hip width. 3, 2, 1. So going down as low as we can into the narrow squat. So it should be almost identical to our regular squat. Key here, I definitely am feeling it. I know for me, I'm feeling it a little bit in my back. When that happens, we want to make sure that one, we're pushing through our heels so our weight's not coming too far forward. And also that our core is engaged. So we're breathing through our straw, bringing our core together, ribs come down, our butt is to our belly button. If you need to move a little bit slower, really push through heel, big toe, little toe. We should feel that in our glutes and in our quads. 3, 2, 1. Awesome. All right. Last part, and then we have one more round. We have glute bridge marches. All right. 3, 2, 1. I wanted to incorporate these ones today to really give us a little bit more pillar work. So we're working on our hips and our torso, and both are really important to work on in terms of strength, because that's where all of our strength from our arms and our legs come from the strength of our pillar, which is our shoulders, hips, and torso. So this one works on 2/3 of our pillar. Again, really important. Headlights on our hips, we want to keep them aligning the ceiling. Our feet are staying hip width apart, and our feet are directly underneath our knees. So as my left leg comes up like this, my right glute is engaged and vice versa. 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. All right, last round. Coming on up. We have skips first. Let me just retie my shoe real quick because my laces are annoying me. All right, 3, 2, 1. We are skipping. So opposite or opposite leg. Again, you can march if that feels better. You can also do this in place or moving forward, whatever feels good. Once again, if you are feeling, for some reason, I'm feeling everything in my back today. If that is also you, again, key, take a second. Instead of having our slight arch in our back, our butt to our belly button, nice and tall through our torso, breathing through our straw, so our core is engaged. 3, 2, 1. All right, done with those for today. We have push-ups with our 1-second pause. Halfway through. 3, 2, 1. All right, screwing our hands into the ground. We only need to pause for 1 second, and you can either go down all the way and get up however you need to, or you can just come right back up. Finishing strong. I know sometimes the third round be a little bit tricky. I know my arms are dead already from my workout this morning. So doing this a little extra, but we got it. We're doing awesome. We're finishing strong with today's workout. 3, 2, 1. All right, we're done with push-ups. I almost said upper body, but we have IYT. So our upper body's not done yet. We're almost done. We have reverse lunges next. 3, 2, 1. So we are stepping back, keeping our weight forward, pausing for 3 seconds, driving through our front leg, driving through our heel, big toe, little toe of the leg that is in front. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention this before, but I can say it now. I know a little too late on the last round, but we want to make sure our feet are also on train tracks. So we're stepping directly behind our hip. We are not on a tightrope. we are on a railroad. That's going to help a lot with balance if you're finding it tricky to keep your balance here. 3, 2, 1. All right. Perfect. We're done with those. Final 3 movements here, and then we're going to do a quick cool down. But we have IYTs next. 3, 2, 1. For these ones, if you are feeling it in your back, you can do one of 2 things. Number 1, you can go ahead and do a standing one because you're still going to use your shoulders to come up and all of this. So if your back is feeling it, you can, again, stand, focus on those shoulders, or really focus on keeping your core engaged. Bring your chest up a little bit more. So by bringing your chest up or sinking into your hips a little bit more, either one works. So whatever feels better today for you. 3, 2, 1. Did a few extra T's there because I kept on stopping after Y's. All right. 2 more movements. Narrow squats are next. 3, 2, 1. So again, feet slightly closer than hip width, but not fully touching. Making sure, I know this one's a little bit more difficult to keep our weight on our heels because of the position, but it is challenging for you. I know this one today, for some reason, last like 2 weeks, I know my hips have just been super tight. So move a little slower if you need to make sure you're using your proper muscles, you're feeling it, and that it doesn't feel painful. I mean, it's going to feel a certain way, but we don't want it to hurt in a bad way. 3, 2, 1. All right. Last movement here, glute bridge marches. And then we are going to cool down. 3, 2, 1. All right. So tucking our pelvis in, hips are up. 1 knee at a time. Core is engaged. Glutes pushing through our heel big to little toe. You can do whatever feels good with your hands. I feel like I always tend to do this. I like to have mine on my core just to make sure I'm engaging it. You're feeling it in your back. Just go ahead and hold at the top so you can focus on your breath and on using your core before we get into the march part. 3, 2, 1. That is going to be it for today's circuit. So go ahead, grab a sip of water if you need it. Stop the timer. And we're going to go ahead real quick with our cool down. We're going to go ahead and be on the ground, on our hands and our knees. And we're going to do a quick child's pose here. So we can open up our hips and our back, but also calm our bodies down after that, as well as focus on our breath. So we're going to go ahead, starting on our hands and our knees when you're ready. We're going to bring our hips back, walk our hands forward, forehead, chin, or cheek to the ground. We're going to focus on our breath. So we're breathing in through our nose, into our bellies. And exhaling, thawing away our tension. We want to let our hips sink further into the ground with each exhale. Go ahead and do one more breath here. And as you finish your exhale, when you're ready, You can go ahead and gently come on out of that to put a little bit more pressure onto your hands. And then return back to your hands and your knees. And feel free to stay on the ground or return to a seated, kneeling, or standing position. But that is going to be it for us today. So hope we feel good after that. Not super cardio heavy today, but we did a lot of different things. So I hope you enjoyed that, and hopefully I'll see you soon.